My name is Bernie Carmona. I'm 15 years old and I'm from the Bronx. Like most of my friends, I attended my neighborhood middle school. PS 218. It's a bilingual school and about 90% of the students are Hispanic. I enjoyed my time there, as I was given lots of academic help from my teachers. Unfortunately though, there were certain opportunities that I just didn't have. In 7th grade, I signed up for art class, but there was no art teacher. So instead of doing art, we were just given English packets for the whole school year. When it came time for high school, I applied and was accepted to Beacon High School, one of the most competitive and sought-after public high schools in the city. Beacon was a big change from my middle school. About 40% of the students are white, and there are far more wealthy students than in my middle school. It's located in Midtown Manhattan, so every morning I take the A and D train for 40 minutes and then walk 10 minutes to school. Nothing like the 3-minute walk to PS 218. Beacon is a huge school with 1,500 students and 7 floors. The basement is completely dedicated to music with 10 whole studios. There's also a black box theater, a dance studio, an art studio, and a film lab. As a freshman, I looked forward to exploring a variety of extracurriculars, which I was never able to have at my middle school. But when school started, I honestly felt a bit scared by all of these opportunities. Unlike myself, it felt like many of my classmates were accustomed to having all these different choices. In my new art class at Beacon, I didn't feel as prepared as other students who had been taking art class their whole life. I'm grateful for all the resources that Beacon provides. But this got me thinking, why doesn't every school in New York City have a full music and arts program? What do students lose when they don't have the opportunity to explore their extracurricular passions? You're listening to the Miseducation Podcast, Season 7, Questioning the Status Quo. This is The Price of Creativity. I know so many kids from my community who haven't been able to receive the resources that I now have simply because of where they go to school. Christina Aja and I went to middle school together. She's now a sophomore at Central Park East High School in East Harlem. Christina loves to explore opportunities in the arts and storytelling. She's actually one of my fellow interns for the Miseducation Podcast, and she's also a part of WNYC's Radio Rookies program. Not content with the few opportunities that her school provides, Christina has gotten used to looking for programs outside of her campus.
I feel like when you don't have as much resources or you have lower funding, you get less stuff. You get less opportunities and you always have to do more for yourself.
Christina's building, named the Jackie Robinson Alternative Educational Campus, houses 3 different schools.
It's very hard when you think about us being a shared school and the preconceived notions that come with that, it being poor, we don't have enough money, we don't get enough from the DOE. So that's always something that we keep in mind.
Central Park East High School reported only $64 in PTA funding in 2019. That's 13 cents per student. Meanwhile, my school, Beacon, had a PTA budget of almost $700,000 in 2019. $481 per student. PTA funding is a good indicator of a school's ability to provide enrichment opportunities. According to Chalkbeat New York, money raised by parent organizations cannot be used to pay for teachers but can pay for supplemental staff, such as teaching assistants and art teachers. PTAs can also cover expenses for after-school programs and other services that a school's principal can't or won't budget for. I also spoke to Melanie, a student at the Young Women's Leadership Academy, located in the Bronx. Her school's PTA raised about $8 per student in 2019.
I think honestly it's kind of unfair because you see at these other schools in Manhattan or other districts, they have more funding, and I feel like our school, we definitely need funding. There's things that need to be fixed. There's a lot of issues with it, and I feel like at least a little bit more funding would really improve our school and our experience.
One of Melanie's biggest issues with her school is that it doesn't provide a platform for her to explore her interests, such as psychology and mental health.
if people want to like pursue that passion, I feel like school should be like a backbone to help you get there. And if they don't support you or like give you space to do that, it's really unfair.
Follow your dreams too.
This is my friend Katie, a fellow 10th grader at Beacon.
Honestly, if the high school helps you, go ahead, follow your dreams. But please do research on your high schools before you apply to them. Because if not, then you might end up at a high school that you end up hating.
Like me, her middle school experience was pretty different than her high school experience. Katie is also from
the Bronx, and like they barely had funding for anything. Like they had to make us pay for almost half of the things that we had. I did play basketball since that was literally the only sport that my school had, since they didn't have like much funding. And the extracurriculars at my middle school, you had to pay to do them. And my family does not have enough money to like continuously keep paying for me to do something after school.
Those barriers don't exist at Beacon. Beacon High School provides access to 96 clubs and 20 PSAL sports teams. Beacon's implementation of a freshman arts rotation allows students to explore multiple electives in a single semester. This gave Katie the chance to choose her main elective in 10th grade, which was filmmaking.
It does have like places and teachers that let you like dabble into it, you know? Like if I wanted to do film as like my career for my whole life, Beacon gives me the access to by having like film classes, by having like advanced film classes, by having like teachers who could like help me go to like good colleges that are like made for filmmaking. Like I've never seen so much art supplies in my life before I came to Beacon. Like I had art in middle school, and there all they had was like watercolors and then like the basic coloring supplies, and then called it a day.
Katie still appreciates the electives, even the ones she did not enjoy, such as the theater elective.
But it was also a good experience to try out, you know, like to try to act, because I've also never really acted before in my life. I did have theater classes in middle school, but it was like on and off, on and off.
Katie has been able to have the experience of attending a highly resourced school. But in New York City's unequal school system, many students never get that chance. This status quo is not acceptable to Kimberly Olson, Executive Director of the Arts and Education Roundtable, an advocacy organization fighting for more arts funding in public schools. It has been active for 30 years.
We're working to make sure that arts education is accessible for not just some, but all students.
Kimberly believes that without equitable DOE or PTA funding, arts programs will never be consistent across schools.
We found that not everybody understands the values of having arts in schools, unfortunately. Right. And so, as I'm sure you see, it then varies quite a lot between school to school, whether it be arts classes during the day or extracurriculars are actually available to students. And we don't think that should be the case. The money has to be there to support it. There's sort of the magic of arts education, but imagine if we actually put some money behind it. So right now in New York City schools, there is $80.15 that is recommended to be spent on arts education.
Per student.
However, that is a recommendation. It's not a requirement, which means that some schools will spend more and some schools will spend less.
The Arts and Education Roundtable has rallied city council members to the cause. They're proposing that the mayor increase arts allocations by $80 million, which would help restore last year's budget cuts that led some schools to lay off art teachers. Teachers like Paul Trust.
Most of my teaching, a lot of it was during the Bloomberg years. And the mantra was always, we got to tighten our belt. We got to learn how to do more with less. I mean, that's kind of America in general, right?
Before being let go last year, Paul taught music at PS 39 and Park Slope for more than 10 years. His job allowed him to express his abilities with his students and support those with passions in the arts. Paul actually started with music at a young age.
I had a great experience doing music growing up. I started with the tuba in, I think it was 4th grade in band, and I liked my band teacher, and I continued with that through junior high, and I really loved my band teacher in high school. And so that was an inspiration to me, you know, to want to maybe kind of pass the torch on to some kids that really like music and wanted to perform in concerts. So that was like the direction I wanted to pursue.
Paul passed on his love of music to 3rd through 5th graders until June of 2022, when he learned the bad news.
I found out about my position being in jeopardy around, it was early June, I would say probably around like 7th or the 8th of June. I got called into the office and was told that there is a possibility based upon the budget as explained to the principals that they would be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. What the mayor was considering it.
When the news reached his students, they expressed their appreciation for Paul at a rally.
One of my students actually spoke at the rally, did a better job than I think I could have, like explaining how important the arts were to the school and how much they loved, learning music, and you can't cut music. There was a girl who gave a heart-wrenching speech, and she was crying about, band was the only thing she liked in school. Everything else didn't work for her, and she didn't want to go to school, but she loved band. And she just didn't understand why the mayor was taking away the one thing that kept her grounded in school.
Across the city, thousands of students are being deprived of arts classes, while students like myself are at schools with arts classes galore. More than I can even take in 4 years. It's simply not fair. It's not right. The city's final budget is due on or before June 30th. It's not clear how much funding for arts it will include. But given what I know about the deep inequalities that exist right now, I'm fairly sure that it won't be enough. This episode was reported by me, Bernie Carmona, with production and editing support from Enrique Perez, Melanie Bonilla, Sabrina DeKenney, Mira Gordon, and Taylor McGraw. Music from Blue Dot Sessions. Special thanks to Erica Wong and Good Studio, as well as Hindenburg Systems. The Miseducation Podcast is a program of The Bell. Our work is made possible in part by the Pinkerton Foundation, the Summerfield Foundation, and FJC. You can learn more about our work and find all past episodes at bellvoices.org. If you're listening on a podcast app like Apple or Spotify, please drop us a quick rating and review. And don't forget to follow at Miseducation Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for listening.